What's up, everyone? We are finally heading into the last trading week of 2022. In this video, we're going to go over some of the best setups to close out of 2022 and some very interesting Santa Claus rally statistics to know about heading into this week. We have an exciting video for the week. Make sure to stick with us, and towards the end, we have some big money trades to watch out for. But Tom, let's get right into it.
100%, Mike. And I will say, coming off of last week from Friday, the market was a little choppy. Friday, pretty slow as we went into the holidays. And I did just want to say really quickly, I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hopefully, Santa can at least give us a post-Christmas rally, because as we can see Thursday, there wasn't much of a Santa rally going on into Christmas here, Mike. And looking at the SPY on the daily chart, you can kind of tell that we've been dipping down the past couple of weeks, and we're kind of hitting around this 380 support. I'm really hoping that since we've been consolidating here, we can maybe start to get up above that this week and then up above this resistance around 383, which we hit a lot at on Friday. So there's a lot of big stuff going on. What I will say is that whenever we look at the heat map, there wasn't really anything exploding Friday besides oil. You can see oil stocks actually had a very good day. If we go check out like XOM or CVX or something like that, it's starting to get some pretty good volatility. And I'm even noticing on the daily charts, some of those oil stocks are starting to point back up towards those highs again.
You know it. So ending 2022, clearly some stocks have done a lot better than others throughout the year. But what's also very interesting is that, we have a term called the Santa Claus rally, and different stocks move in different ways. And this is very interesting. So by looking at the article, we can see, if we scroll down just a tiny bit, Tom, we can see that December ends up being the best month for the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the Russell 2000, which is awesome. And what's even more interesting is that the Russell 2000 basically does better than every single other index in December. It has turned green, or it has finished green in December 83% of the time since 1987. And on average, the return for December is 2.8%. And that is absolutely awesome. The S&P 500, if we look a little bit further, has also turned green 73% of the time in all Decembers since 1928, and this has gained 1.4% on average. Looking a little bit further, we can see the Dow Jones also tends to be green in December 71% of the time, dating all the way back to 1896. Yes, 1896. That's crazy. And on average, it pops for 1.4%. December ends up being okay for the NASDAQ, which pops up around 61% of the time since 1971, and for an average gain of 1.7%. Right now, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the Russell, and the NASDAQ are all in the red. So Tom, looking at the statistic where it shows that the Russell ends up closing green 83% of the time, it really makes me look at IWM right now, which is, kind of like the SPY version, but for the Russell. And it really does tempt me for like a end of year call play or something to the upside, because 83% of the time it's been green.
Yeah, it definitely has. I will say we're getting kind of towards the end of December now, and you can see IWM's been falling down actually a little bit this month. So it has some work to do to get back up there if it wants to hold those statistics and keep those statistics at least this year. So hopefully we get a nice rip this week, Mike. And I will say, looking at it for a dip buy, I don't think is a bad idea. We're kind of around this support around 174. There's also some support down here pretty close to 170, which we got very close to the other day on the low, getting all the way down to like 170.80. But either way, it looks like a pretty good dip buy. If we do start to come back up, watch this 178 resistance on IWM. I think that's going to be very interesting. And I love looking at this chart, Mike. It's just so cool to be able to see all these different months here, like which stock has done the best. So the Russell's obviously in like the tan or the brownish color down there on the bottom. So you can see December, the Russell does very well. Even in November, it seems like the Russell does pretty good. But you can see in January, for example, the NASDAQ actually does the best. And then February, the Russell takes back over again. So it's just very interesting to see that chart as well. And hopefully we get to see that nice rip back to the upside. And I will say, Mike, it's kind of cool because if the Russell goes up, the Russell's comprised of a lot more growth stocks, right? Compared to the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow.
Exactly. The Russell's mainly those like smaller cap stocks, and sometimes they really move.
Mike, there should be some pretty good plays this week, especially with the way the market started popping up Friday. I feel like that there's a lot of great stocks and some awesome setups. So, man, hopefully we can find some nice ones here.
You know it. So it should be an exciting end to the year. Like I said, I'm really watching IWM to the upside for potential play, just given the stats we were looking at. It's nothing crazy, but it's just on my watch list for the week. But Tom, what else do we have set in store?
Yeah, so we actually do have some airline cancellations coming out with all this severe winter weather. I know, Mike, you probably haven't been experiencing too much crazy winter weather right now, but man, where I live in the middle of the country in the Midwest, it has been brutal lately. I've actually seen lows at my house under -5 degrees, and then wind chills were getting -30, -35 degrees plus in a lot of areas. So it's been insane. We've been getting some snow as well, but it looks like there's been 17,000 flight cancellations here since Wednesday. I wanted to point this out. I think it could maybe spill over into some of these airlines. It says Southwest Airlines was hit especially hard by the winter storm. So sounds pretty crazy, Mike. Just watch LUV this week. We might see a bit of a dip back down, or we might just see some volatility in general, but I will keep my eyes on these airlines. It's never good to see cancellations, and I know that we've seen a lot of issues with these airline stocks in the past due to very similar circumstances.
Yeah, so we will see. Is there anything else we need to know heading into the week?
Nothing too crazy, but I will say, we're getting to the end of the year. A lot of people are getting into the tax season, and I saw the IRS actually paused a pretty big rule requiring people to report PayPal, Venmo, and other transactions on these apps over $600. I know that there's been a lot of talk about this year with the IRS doing this, and the IRS hired a whole bunch of new people. I know people are making a bunch of memes saying that they hired people to try to look into everybody's small purchases rather than these big companies who are hiding all of their money, obviously trying to pay as little of tax as possible. But in the end, Mike, this is pretty insane. So it looks like they're going to be pausing this requirement this tax year. So that's going to be awesome. They're pretty much saying it's going to be like a transition period here going on. And hey, it sounds great for everybody. And I don't know if that's going to help out PayPal, Etsy, or eBay at all, but I will say it sounds like it's going to make things a lot easier. And I would expect it does help them out a little bit. And PayPal is actually right at the $70 support. And we've been seeing a lot of big money come into PayPal lately too.
There we go. All right, I'll keep it on my watch list. But now I also want to talk about a couple setups that I've been watching. The first one is SWBI. So this is Smith & Wesson. This stock kind of moves in a unique way. It doesn't always follow the market. Like it has like a decent correlation to the S&P 500, but a lot of times it moves just like independent depending on what catalysts are going on. This stock is extremely oversold in the short term right now. It's been dumping really hard ever since earnings. So it's just on my watch list for like a potential short-term play to the upside just because it's oversold. Nothing crazy, but it is on my watch list just due to the fact that it's pretty oversold.
Yeah, exactly. I know we've been watching SWBI for a long time, and they are very oversold too. They actually started to fill that big gap on the daily chart that they had in the past from like $8 up to 10, where they had that nice explosion there. So pretty nice. They're filling that gap. They're right back down around support. So I like it as well. I will say, Mike, I actually own a few SWBIs. So, hey, how can I not like them? But going forward, one of my favorite stocks for the week is going to be Target. I know I said SWBI was around support, and it looks like Target is actually on a big support as well from a gap fill of theirs in the past. You can see 140 is a huge level on Target. And I feel like that coming off the holidays and everything like that, Target had a very good bounce here on Friday, back to the upside. And I feel like that we could get a bit of continuation, especially considering we've been going pretty much straight down from 167. You can see the Target has actually been pretty brutal this year and even the past couple months. But I'm going to be looking for that support bounce, Mike. I like it. It's overextended to the downside, and I do think that we can get a bit more buyers coming in here.
Sounds good. Another one I'm watching is CCJ. So this is like a uranium type play. It is bouncing off support in a pretty strong way. I've been following it all year long. It is towards the lower end of its range. This stock can take a couple days or weeks to truly move, but I definitely do like it. I like the risk reward setup with it right now. I think it has a lot of good potential to pop up. And what I really like about it is that we can see in that bottom right corner, it's not really correlated to the S&P 500 basically at all, or at least it hasn't been this year. I think that's a really good thing in this market. The market or the SPY has been very crazy all year long. And when you have stocks that just move independently, I think that is a positive, given all the craziness that we've seen.
Yeah, exactly. I do as well. I think it's awesome. CCJ, it almost reminds me of a play on energy, kind of like the oil stocks. You know, it was very interesting to see them all kind of running up on Friday, whether it was CCJ or whether it was X. Well, X actually ended up down a little bit, but they were actually doing quite well Thursday heading into that day. But you can see like gold, for example, had a nice green day Friday, and some of those metals and energy plays did. So I like that with CCJ. Hopefully they keep bouncing off this support. And I know that we've been talking about them a lot this year, Mike, and they are at the low of that range again. Like you said, it is looking pretty attractive, especially for some shares, in my opinion, to possibly swing or something like that. But another one that I'm going to be watching, Mike, is DraftKings, DKNG. I know this is one of our favorite stocks, or at least we've been talking about it a lot. It probably hasn't been our favorite this year, given how much it's been going down. But what I will say is DraftKings is right around the lower end of the range, kind of like CCJ is. They're right around that $11 area. I'm really hoping the DraftKings can start to move back to the upside here. You know, we've been seeing a lot of events going on, whether it's college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA. There's been a lot of sports, a lot of people at home for the holidays. So hopefully DraftKings can start to move up a little bit. And hey, I know that there's even a couple more states talking about legalization again and stuff like that as well. And I did see some good numbers coming out of New York as well for DraftKings.
There we go. Well, it's now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have NVIDIA to the downside.
Poor NVDA. They had a pretty bad week last week, especially Thursday. I mean, that was very brutal. If they end up falling back below this support right around 149, watch for a push down. And we are sitting like right around that 149, 150 support.
Sounds good. With the next one, we have Disney, but to the upside.
DIS. They actually had a very nice recovery Friday and actually got back to that high from Thursday. So if they can break out above that resistance from Thursday, right around $88.10, I will look for some calls. And I will say, Mike, this is probably my favorite one out of the list.
Awesome. All right. And then with the last one, we have Square, aka Block, and we need both directions.
Yeah, Square, they recovered up pretty well on Friday, but you can see not quite as well as Disney did, but they are right around resistance. So if they can break out up above 61.10, then go ahead and look for a play to the upside. Now, if they fall down below intraday support around $60 even, then look for a play down.
All right, so we're watching Square. You know, we have that upside level for potential day trade to the upside, and we have that downside level for potential day trade to the downside. For Disney, we have that upside level as well. And then for NVIDIA, we have that downside level. So keep these three stocks on your watch list going into tomorrow. But we have to talk about the big money trade of the day. We have $420,000 going into the ARQT 15 strike call options that expire on June 16th of 2023. This one's very interesting. So ARQT is a biopharmaceutical company that focuses on dermatology. Basically, what's especially interesting about this setup is that the big money in this situation basically went as far out as possible in terms of time for this stock, which in my opinion is a sign that they are longing these options. They're the 15 strikes, they're right at the money. It looks like in this situation, the big money wants ARQT stock to rise as much as possible. The higher it goes, the more money they will make. These types of biopharmaceutical companies move a lot based off of news and events and just other catalysts like that. So it's definitely on my watch list going forward. It has, you could say 6 months worth of time to it. If any crazy news or, trials or anything comes out related to anything that they do, that can be game changing for this stock. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to keep it on the radar. That's going to be huge, Mike. And it's a bit of a gamble play. Like if you guys want to buy some of these calls and hold them for a little while, it might be a bit of a gamble because, like you said, Mike, we need that big news to come out, or we at least need the stock to start to fly up. What is cool, like you said, it kind of has a weak correlation to the SPY, which is good. So if the market goes down, hey, at least ARQT is going to have a mind of its own and it will move in its own way, which I like about it. But I think it's a pretty cool play, Mike. These biopharmaceutical companies, biotherapeutics, any of these like biotech stocks, they, like you said, they really run off of news. We've seen some of these stocks like BIIB, for example, which is a bigger biotech stock. You can just tell on the chart, like, look at these big jumps here. Like, look at that big jump from back in 2021. We had a big gap up this year with some news as well. So keep your eyes on these. I think they can be pretty interesting. So watch ARQT. Very interesting stock, Mike. And I don't know what they're going to come out with, but hey, hopefully they have some nice cure for some type of uncurable disease or something. That'll really help it.
Yeah, we'll see. These stocks are so crazy and unpredictable when it comes to news and events. But hey, when you have someone dropping $420,000 into a, very specific and what appears to be bullish play, it's definitely something worth noting. So it will definitely be on my watch list. I do think this is one of the more interesting big money plays that we've looked at in a while at least. So we will see. But Tom, do you have any other big things you're watching for the final trading week of the year?
Yeah, I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think that watching maybe some of these energy stocks this week could end up being a pretty good thing to do. We saw energy, we saw a lot of stocks like CCJ moving up last week, and I think that they could start to potentially continue to move back up. I've been watching this trend line here on Oxy for a long time. We've been getting bounce after bounce after bounce, and I'm just curious, are we going to finally start to extend back up, or are we going to fall back off here? I've been kind of waiting for Oxy to start to fall back down, Mike, but we just keep bouncing back up. And it looks like Friday we started to move back up once again. So I'm going to really watch these energy plays and those airlines with all those cancellations. I think that those two sectors could end up being pretty volatile this week. And what I like about them is that they don't necessarily follow the SPY 100% of the time, especially not the oil stocks.
Sounds good. If you guys are looking for daily options alerts, access to big money, multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades, and an awesome private community, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Like I said, we have daily options alerts from our bots, multi-million-dollar big money trades every single day before the market closes, swing trade alerts, a private community, a bunch of other custom bots that you won't find anywhere else, and you can cancel at any time. Again, it'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. We have some very, very, very exciting news set to release about some new features coming out with all of our products. Once you sign up, you will never pay more than the price you were locked in at. And Tom and I are always investing and adding more and more and more features to the program, so the value rises over time. So it's kind of like an investment in a way. Basically, you'll never pay more than the price you sign up for, and the value will do nothing but increase over time. So definitely check it out. It's going to be that first link in the description and the comments down below. Like I said, we have some very exciting new features set to release literally in like a week and a half. So it's going to be very exciting. Make sure to check it out. I also want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, which is Tangy Man on YouTube and in the Discord. You're super supportive and you're always so active, so you definitely deserve a huge shout out. So thank you so much, Tangy Man. Thank you so much for all the activity. Besides that, guys, I am pumped for the last week of the year. Normally it ends up being a pretty good week. So far, December's been pretty bloody, but we will see. Definitely keep a close eye on the Russell 2000 or IWM. This does tend to do the best out of all other areas of the market, so make sure to keep a close eye on it. Besides that, let's end 2022 in a strong way. Thanks for watching.